Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, good day to you, depending where you are in the world. It is Sabbath blessings, one and all. We're doing our nighttime devotion. And the devotional is called Conflict and Courage. The title today, No Generation Gap. Samuel 3 verse 1. 1 Samuel 3 verse 1. And the child Samuel ministered unto the Lord before Eli. Young as he was when brought to minister in the tabernacle, Samuel had even then duties to perform in the service of God according to his capacity. These were at first very humble, not always pleasant, but they were performed to the best of his ability and with a willing heart. If children were taught to regard the humble round of everyday duties as the course marked out for them by the Lord, as a school in which they were to be trained to render faithful and efficient service, how much more pleasant and honourable would their work appear? To perform every duty as unto the Lord throws a charm around the humblest employment and links the workers on earth with the holy being who do God's will in heaven. The life of Samuel from early childhood had been a life of piety and devotion. He had been placed under the care of Eli in his youth, and the loveliness of his character drew forth the warm affection of the aged priest. He was kind, generous, diligent, obedient, and respectful. The contrast between the course of the youth Samuel and that of his priest's own sons was very marked. And Eli found rest and comfort and blessing in the presence of his charge. It was a singular thing that between Eli, the chief magistrate of the nation, and the simple child, so warm a friendship could and should exist. Samuel was helpful, affectionate, and no father ever loved his child more tenderly than did Eli, this youth. As the infirmities of age came upon Eli, he felt more keenly the disheartening, reckless, profligate course of his own sons, and he turned to Samuel for comfort and support. How touching to see youth and old age relying one upon the other, the youth looking up to the aged for counsel and wisdom, and the aged looking to the youth for help and sympathy. This is as it should be. God would have the young possess such qualifications of character that they shall find delight in the friendship of the old, that they may be united in the endearing bonds of affection to those who are approaching the borders of the grave. No generation gap. So Eli was young. Eli was old. And yet the two had such a connection. And as was said, one relied upon the other. The young looked up to the old and sought to learn from their wisdom and their experience. And the old looked to young to help him do the things that he couldn't always do himself now. And it's interesting. I love this bit because I remember when I was young, I used to see my granddad every week. And he used to always tell me stories of when he was younger and the things he used to do. And I used to love listening to him, listening to his stories. And I used to help him tidy his house. Those were good years. Here, Eli, a young guy, says here he was generous, kind, diligent, obedient, respectful. And this is how youth need to be to the older generation, very respectful and willing to learn. And it says at the beginning, Samuel had very modest, humble duties to begin with, but he always did it with very willing, humble heart. Just as the heavenly angels do their bidding around God in heaven, willing, humble, and happy. And this is how we must teach our youth to be, bring them up to be willing, humble, and happy.